Sandra Fluke is with us now exclusively. Ms. Fluke, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. I used to be one of those people outside the studio screaming with my mom, so it's interesting to be on this side of the camera.
It's nice to have you here in this capacity. You didn't start this debate, but you lent your voice to it as you spoke publicly about this issue. Before I get to the specifics of what's happened in the last day or so, do you feel you've gotten more than you bargained for?
Well, it's certainly been a good bit, yes.
These comments that were made by Rush Limbaugh about you, certainly derogatory. What was your first reaction when you heard the comments?
Well, I think my reaction was the reaction that a lot of women have had when historically they've been called these types of names, and that really I think a lot of women across America have had to this. And that was initially to be stunned by it, but then to quickly feel outraged and very upset that again on the first day of Women's History Month, on that day, a woman is being called these names in an attempt to silence me, to silence all of us from speaking about the health care that we need.
He made the first comments about you a couple of days ago, and when given an opportunity, I guess, to backtrack or apologize for them yesterday, instead he doubled down. And having said this, this is Rush Limbaugh, and this is what he does for a living. He makes comments, in my opinion, that he hopes will get more people to talk about him, more people to listen to his radio show or buy his books. This is kind of his business model. But having said that, are you surprised at what seems to be a deafening silence coming from the right in standing up for you?
Well, I do want to make sure that everyone understands that this wasn't just one man who said these things. There was actually many conservative commentators on several major broadcast networks who did make these types of comments, and I would really encourage people to look into that, because I think it's a very important thing for us to think about, that in our society, in certain sectors, this is evidently still acceptable, and that's just very problematic.
This issue has been described in several different ways. It's been described as an issue of religious freedom, of women's health, of government intervention. How do you define it?
I think this is about women's health. That's what it's always been about for me, and that's what it's about for the many, many Americans who are emailing me constantly telling me how important it is to them. For them and for me, this is about accessible, affordable access to a basic health care service that prevents medical disasters and unplanned pregnancies.
As you know, the Senate rejected the Blunt amendment on Thursday. Where do you see this issue going?
Well, it is fantastic that the Blunt Amendment was defeated. Unfortunately, there are still bills being discussed in both the House and the Senate, as well as in the legislatures of many, many states, to restrict women's access to this important health care need. So, unfortunately, it doesn't seem like this is an argument that is over.
Sandra Fluke. Sandra, thank you again for your time this morning. It was nice to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.